Well, some great moments, and just a quarter of the way through the season, as we mentioned. So we put you guys to work this morning, asked you to come up with some first quarter superlatives for 2019. So biggest moment of 2019. I want to hear from both of you. AJ, we'll start with you. What was the biggest moment for you in 2019 so far?
Yeah, I mean, I really think it had to start with Daytona. You know, Denny Hamlin going out there and winning the Daytona 500. He had a struggle of a year last year, not winning a race. Whether we believed it or not, his job maybe being on the line. There's so many rumors going around. Don't know what's true, but...
Yeah, I don't think that was.
Yeah, but more importantly, to not win a race and then come back, win the biggest race of the year, and to really do it in honor of J.D. Gibbs after he had passed away. Just kind of all that mixed together made, for me, so far the biggest moment of the year.
And they've cemented it with a second win now, Parker.
So that was huge, and I think for the 11 car, you know, kind of turn the page from last season and everything that went down there. But for me, the biggest moment just recently occurred, and that is Martin Truex Jr. finally winning on a short track. So we don't have to say that he hasn't won on a short track.
You don't have to ask him anymore, Parker.
Exactly. I don't have to ask this anymore and him get very angry at me and that sort of thing. You've experienced that. So
yes.
Most of all, that was also a really cool race. Those last 30 or so laps between Joe Logano, Clint Boyer, and Martin Truex was awesome to watch. They're sliding around, and I loved his description after the race of what it was like driving. He goes, it was like driving in the snow. And I was like, I've never heard that description of being on old tires at Richmond or on a short track, but I love that description because it was so, you know, I could visualize that so well. Of like, yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It's like driving on snow because there's no grip whatsoever, and you've got to hit these little points, and he was able to hold off two very fast cars. I thought that was a great win and a cool moment.
And everybody wants to talk about the package, but to me, the end of the Richmond race really showed what this package can do, AJ. You agree?
Yeah, and especially on the short tracks, you know, this package with more downforce really just helps the cars kind of just for side-by-side racing. At Richmond, we saw, you know, we always talk about aero, and aero is going to be a big deal when you're behind a car, but it just seemed like at Richmond and Bristol as well, they could get side-by-side, they could move around the racetrack and make for different lines to where there was passing, and it just wasn't the tires going away and one single car kind of getting out there and dominating.
I did not think Logano was going to get as close as he did to Truex there those last couple of
laps. It was fantastic.
He made
last few laps.
Huge lunges there, and I was like, man, this is a real... I mean, I just thought that was a very cool finish to that race, and there was parts of that race that were not as exciting. So I was very excited to see that finish in that last battle. That was very cool.
He and I were watching it at dinner, and it was some great racing.
Really
we were really captivated. All right, biggest surprise of the season so far, AJ?
Well, in a good and bad way.
Okay.
Chip Ganassi Racing. Now, starting with the good, Kurt Busch has been solid throughout the course of the year. He's got 3 top 5s, 6 top 10s. He's 7th in points. And just every weekend, you know, whether he's not the car to beat, but he just does all the right things. Him and that one team in general. So they've been strong. They're just consistently one of the top Chevys every weekend, showing that it's not just raw speed. They're able to do it in a variety of ways, whether it's strategy, being smart. Kurt, like at Bristol, just getting after it.
Yep.
Well, now the bad. Kyle Larson. Really, we saw that highlight package there. Atlanta was the last time we just saw Kyle Larson having speed in the race car. And this was something I questioned with this package. And Kyle Larson stood out to me. As soon as we came up with this rules package, I said, is this going to hurt Kyle Larson? Because at certain racetracks where you can go up there and run the fence, that was his advantage. He's the best guy in the sport when it was getting up against the fence, putting that right rear fender against it, and just riding the wall and finding speed. With this package, just doesn't happen. So whether it's self-induced mistakes, some bad luck like at Texas, they blew a tire, or just no speed in the car, right now he's 19th in points, and his teammate's 7th and being fast every weekend, he's got a lot of work to do.
Continuing off his struggles is his manufacturer, Chevy. They have not won a race this season, so we're 9 races through. This is the first time since 1992 that they haven't won a race. And if they don't win at Talladega, which I'll be in that race in a Toyota, so I hope they don't because I'd like to win, then that will be the first time since 1971 that Chevy has gone this many races in the season without a win. So this is a tough time for Chevy. And I saw an interesting quote from Chip Ganassi recently where he basically said, you know, obviously the other manufacturers may be a little bit ahead, but he said, you know, in some respects, it might just be 2 organizations that are ahead of us that happen to be in different manufacturers, that being Penske and Joe Gibbs. So maybe it's not just a Chevy problem. Maybe it's those 2 organizations have just been so far ahead of everyone, as we've seen. But, you know, not good times in the Chevy camp, continuing off Larson's deal to not have a win so far.
I'm disappointed in you both. Neither one of you picked the Suarez-McDowell fight.
Oh,
the biggest surprise of the year. Come on. Who'd you have in this fight, by the way?
You know what?
So Suarez right here, he's winning. Now, Drew Blickensderfer, he takes over the win right here with the old choke hold, pin down on the hood. McDowell is trying
Here's the foot grab.
He's trying to untie his shoe here. I don't.
Yeah.
At this point, McDowell's just got to say.
I think he's stretching him. I think that's a stretch. Like, let me help you. Let me work out some kinks for you.
Somewhere.
And then we found out that Suarez liked to fight every day in school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
now we know.
Yes, exactly.